Neves, 151.
Yep.
Came up with this idea.
Okay.
Movies that Rotten Tomatoes got wrong.
You know what? I was just thinking that too. I have some examples. Do you want me to show you some before we actually film?
Let's go.
Okay. So the critics hated this when it first came out. Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
They hated it.
One of the greatest movies of all time, universally loved by everyone.
Yeah, I think it has like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Let's try again.
I haven't seen it in a while, but
Let's try again.
Sixth Sense. They hated the ending of that. They were like, oh,
What? The number one thriller of all time. Yeah. M. Night's only classic.
I think I saw on Rotten Tomatoes had like 30%.
What website are you on?
Look, I was double checking. Okay, this one though, this one's a little different, all right? Those ones got shit reviews. This one got good reviews, well deserved. It was Fast and Furious 6. They finally got it right, all right? The first three weren't that good, but they finally got it right. Look, it's The Rock. The Rock is back. And he's jumping around.
Christian, you want to be my new co-host, bro? I can't do this shit.
Wait, what?
Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 151. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Thank you.
And today, we are going to be discussing movies that Rotten Tomatoes got wrong.
Yeah.
A classic thing is the critic score versus the audience score. It's what's unique about Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of times there's some big discrepancies. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be focusing today mostly on the actual reviewer score.
Yeah.
And just talk about movies that we like that we don't think got a fair shake in their reviews.
No, I agree, because it's kind of like, I understand there's people who are like, oh man, but this Black Adam got this right. And it's like, I don't fucking care about that movie. But there are some exceptions where it's just like, do I think it's the greatest thing ever? 90%, 95%? I was like, no.
No.
But is it 10%? No, I don't think so. Some of these are so drastic. And we get it. It's Rotten Tomatoes. It's various critics.
Yeah.
And they determine a rotten review by if they rated it 60% or lower. That's how they do it. Usually you fail a test if it's under 60, so that's how they go off movies. So a lot of the reviews might be very rotten, but a lot of people are like, well, we gave it 5 out of 10.
So 60 and up, it's fresh, and then they're certified fresh at
80.
80 and up.
80 and up, yeah. So looking at it that way, so there could be a bunch of fresh reviews that are only 6 out of 10, but they count it as fresh. So if it's more than 80%, that's a certified fresh, whereas the average rating might be 6.5.
Right.
It's a lot of number math and shit, but at the end of the day, it determines various critics and the average rating for it.
Yeah, which I like that about Rotten Tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And I do go to Rotten Tomatoes a lot to see what the score is.
Same.
I take it with a grain of salt, obviously.
Yeah.
I think, it's important with film to just form your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested enough in a film to search it up and see the reviews, then just check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And decide for yourself. But I thought this would be a fun little segment of picking 5. We're each going to pick 5 movies that we feel Rotten Tomatoes got wrong.
Yeah.
Now, let's start with your number 1.
We're doing number 1 right off the bat? All right, fine.
Or whatever. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, sure. Fuck it. I've been talking about this since day one. When it first came out, 2016, I was a 16-year-old kid, 15-year-old, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I was one of those kids that was just so excited because I loved Man of Steel. I loved the Dark Knight trilogy. So I was like, oh, it's going to be just as good. And holy fuck, was my heart plummeted when I saw the rating for this.
Yeah, so you saw the rating before you saw the film, obviously. You saw some early reviews.
Yeah, the early reviews were, it wasn't 29, it was like 19% when I saw it.
Damn.
It was low, and I was like, fuck, what? Because like Man of Steel was around 56, 57. I was expecting that. Like maybe it was 58, maybe 65, around that. But 19, I was like, what?
Especially at that time, it was hard to believe because these type of like Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
It was still like, the Marvel fatigue, the MCU cameos was just starting to, it was still exciting and fun and we weren't tired of it yet.
Right.
So it's like Batman and Superman, they're going to come together for a film.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of cool entries in the last couple of years, with Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
So, I also kind of thought, how could you go wrong?
Yeah. I remember, and I was just like, man, I don't know. And then, like, I saw it in theaters, and I didn't like think it was the greatest thing of all time. I didn't think it was like 10 out of 10, but I was like, there ain't no fucking way this is a 29% movie.
Right.
I've seen movies that have 80%, 90% that I would give 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, vice versa. And it was just a weird contrast because everyone was praising the Marvel films at the time, which a lot of them are good.
Yeah.
But like 90% for Doctor Strange, that always confused me. That always confused me because of how high the rating was. And then I
Always.
looked at the average rating, which made a lot more sense. The average rating for Doctor Strange was like 6.5, and the average rating for like BVS was, I think, like 4.8, which I could be like, you know what? It's a little higher. That makes a little bit more sense than like 29. I was like, geez, they fucking murdered this film.
So if you were a Rotten Tomatoes critic,
Yeah.
what's your percentage on Batman versus Superman?
The average one? You know what? I want to be fair with it. I know a lot of people are like, you're fucking nuts. Like 70, 75. I could see this.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where I could see, I love it more than that, but in terms of like Rotten Tomatoes, I would say it's better than Man of Steel, with its, especially the director's cut. But it is not like 95%.
No,
it is
definitely not
No,
either.
it's not. It's but the polarization of it still, I couldn't imagine 29. I could imagine a little bit higher than that. That would just be for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the movie.
Do you want to go back and forth? Do you want to do one of mine?
You go now. I want to hear yours.
Here's one of mine. Bad Boys 2.
Yeah.
My favorite Bad Boys. I said it on the Bad Boys episode.
Shit.
I said on the sequel. Yo, they violated my movie.
24?
Look how they massacred my boy.
Jesus.
24%? And an audience rating of 78%.
No.
The audience likes this movie.
Yeah.
It is a Michael Bay banger.
That's lower than most Transformer sequels. I don't agree with that.
That's really bad. Like, I don't understand.
No, I don't
Look,
agree with
it's
that.
not the most well thought out, like, cop movie, buddy cop movie, but it's fun and it has memorable moments and memorable jokes. And I like it a lot. It's my favorite Bad Boys. I think that's a violation of a score. 24%. I don't understand.
Now, I understand the first Bad Boys also didn't get great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's in the 40s, surprisingly. I didn't expect that, too. When I saw it, I was like, 48? Like, really?
But here's the thing. The newer ones
Are high.
are getting great reviews.
Yeah.
They're not that fucking different from this. They're a modern version of this.
Yeah, essentially.
They are. They
Yeah.
do all the same cheesy stuff, but you like it now? It's kind of confusing to me.
A little
That's
bit.
why I had to put this on this list, because this score is an absolute crime.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, yeah, 24 is fucking low for a movie like that. What would you give it? Would you give it similar ratings to the third and fourth Bad Boy films on Tomatoes?
Yeah, I would give this like, a 65.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Like that's my percentage here for sure. At
Yeah.
least a 65. It's a really fun, memorable action movie that you can go back to. It's rewatchable. So at the very least, in the 60s.
Fucking respect
At
that.
the very least, a fresh rating.
A fresh. Give it a fresh one, all right? Michael Bay don't got too many fresh ones.
Yeah,
that could
that's
definitely
true.
be one of them.
All right, on to your next one.
My next one is one that I've been talking about occasionally. Speed Racer. Seeing this film was amazing. Great experience. The Rotten Tomatoes score. I mean, Jesus.
Critics weren't ready for this one.
42%. What are we doing here, guys? What are we fucking doing here? 42%? I can name 10 movies right now that have 90% and above that don't even come close to the quality of this.
I agree.
I'll say that from. Again, there is bias towards it, but not childhood bias, because I remember telling you that I saw this when I was little and I wasn't a fan of it. And then
Yeah.
I saw it recently and I fucking love it.
Right.
So, and this is a kid's film, by the way. So a lot of people are like, oh, you just saw it when you were a kid and stuff. No, I didn't really like it when I was a kid.
Yeah, 'cause it's
grew-
out there.
Yeah, it's very out there. And the visuals really work and the story's really good. Are there moments when it like my least favorite part, if I had to pick one, is like the kid and the monkey sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm seeing that. It's not that great. But everything else, I'll fucking take any day over the shit we're getting now with these adaptations of different anime and manga. Like, are you fucking serious?
And the fact that you can go back to it as an adult and still think that it holds up when it takes so many chances visually already,
yeah,
it's very telling that it's at least a half decent film,
I would say so.
and definitely not a 42%.
42, I mean, like, come on, guys. What are we doing here? If I had to give a little change up for this 42, I'd at least put it in like the high 70s.
Yeah.
High 70s I feel like is respectable enough. I've seen a lot of adaptations of that One Piece show, that live action One Piece on Netflix.
On Netflix.
That rating, whatever that is, put it on Speed Racer.
Right.
I feel like it deserves it.
I like that. Speed Racer's a good pick.
Classic.
My next pick, just when you thought the meme was dead, it's back. Too Fast, Too Furious is my next pick.
Even audience.
The
too.
first three are my absolute favorites. They're all reviewed incredibly poorly.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Because I picked Too Fast, Too Furious in particular because I think it was the perfect combination of they didn't jump the shark yet. They didn't go all the way into the action, but they were already teasing it.
Yeah, a little bit.
You are already seeing where they were trying to take this franchise with this story. Because they go, kind of buddy cop with Brian and Tyrese's character, Jerome.
Yeah.
Roman
Yeah,
Pierce.
Roman Pierce, yeah.
And they still have probably the best racing sequence in the franchise. It is the absolute gold standard. That race with the skyline in the beginning. It's the best opening to a Fast and Furious film in my opinion. And to me, the buddy cop stuff, the action works. It's a little over the top. The climax is them riding a car off land onto a boat, which is ridiculous, very Fast and Furious-esque.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, okay, this is where it's going. But it works really well. Eva Mendes is in this film. She's really good in it.
Yeah.
There's like memorable cop scenes. There's a scene where I love the villain, the drug dealer.
Okay.
There's a memorable scene where he's torturing a guy and he does like the rat with the bucket
Oh.
and he heats it up.
Yeah.
And that's when I was younger, that scene stuck with me so much. And to this day, there's such memorable scenes. It was the first one that Ludacris is in.
Yeah.
It's his best performance in the franchise before they just made him like a tech.
Yeah, they turned him
Guy.
into a tech guy.
Which he's absolutely has zero tech lines or no inclination that he's into technology.
Yeah.
In this movie, his only characteristic is that he's the mechanic and he wants to fuck Suki, the Asian girl. And he's always
a
like,
character arc.
when are you gonna come by so I can work on that front end of yours?
Wait, doesn't he have like a big afro in that movie?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
It's
his best performance.
For his afro alone, 37% is ridiculous. For Ludacris's afro alone, you got to give it a fresh rating.
Yeah.
I give this movie, honestly, you might think I'm crazy, a 75%.
You know what? I respect that though, because the Fast and Furious trilogy, you look at like what Fast 5 and forward, the ratings for those films, and it's just like, why couldn't you give it to the first three?
Yeah.
I was always confused by that. Guess who directed Too Fast, Too Furious?
I don't know, actually.
John Singleton. He directed Boys in the Hood. Yeah.
It's John Singleton.
Yeah.
Guys, come on. 37%.
That's pretty low.
Even the audience score, you guys are all smoking crack.
What's the audience?
50%?
Come on, guys. Are these the same people that saw Fast X? If so, we got to talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know why the first three in general, like I could have put all three on this list because I think all three of them are criminally underrated, even though they're far from perfect films.
Yeah.
And they're, are corny and whatever. Obviously, I have a lot of nostalgia and that's what's talking, but Too Fast, Too Furious, 37%. Come on.
Yeah, that's messed up. For mine, I got another one. This is Steven Spielberg. He hates this film. He's said in interviews he hates this film. Critics hated it, apparently. 29% as well.
29% is rough.
Hook. I cannot fucking believe people hate this film. Hook, Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman.
For that alone, it's like...
That alone, production value is amazing.
I completely agree.
The music, John Williams, is amazing. The performances are amazing. The story is amazing. It takes Peter Pan, what if he was a grown adult, and him trying to have his hope back.
It's a cool premise.
It's so cool. And it's just like little moments I remember from the movie when it's just like the little kid sees Robin Williams and just like looks at his face and he's like, oh, there you are, Peter. It's like this. And the John Williams music is so grandiose. And I'm like, yes, this is fucking Hollywood, man. I love it.
Yeah. Like giving any movie with a John Williams score a 29% is bullshit.
It's tragic. It's fucking tragic.
Absolute bullshit.
The interview that Spielberg had for this always like makes me sad because he's like, if I made Hook today, I'd probably use more digital effects and stuff. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Don't say that. You realize this was one of the last films you did before the Jurassic Park era. This was 91.
Right.
So this was all matte paintings. This was all miniatures. This was
That's
all
right.
big scale. I'm like, don't let that go. You can merge the two.
I wonder why he really hates this movie.
I think the critics got to him. I don't know.
Maybe he had a bad time making it.
Maybe.
Maybe he hasn't seen it in 20 years.
Yeah. He hates this film but loves Indiana Jones 4. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones 4 is your worst film, Spielberg. Hell, Lost World Jurassic Park
Right.
is worse than this. And those films have higher ratings, like insane.
Right. I respect Spielberg so much, his opinions. Whenever I hear him, if he's talking about film, I'm listening because you could tell he's a real student of film.
Of course, yeah.
But him not liking Hook and even the audience just not really receiving Hook for what it was, I don't know why, but it's not my favorite movie. It's not one that I'm dying to rewatch.
No.
But it is a cool twist on Peter Pan. Like you
Yep.
said, the cast is incredible. There's a John Williams score. There's a ton of quality.
Absolutely.
It's at least fresh.
I agree. It's so sad too because when we covered Spielberg on our episode, we saw the documentary. He didn't
Yeah.
mention Hook once.
I know. It
And
just
I'm
swept
like,
it under the rug.
God, that fucking pisses me off. But whatever. It happened. Hook's great. Recommend it.
Recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. And your pick?
My next one is Man on Fire.
Oh yeah.
I picked this one. It's fresh in my head. I saw it when I went to Jamaica. And the audience score versus the review score is drastically different.
It is.
89% audience score because Denzel, because good action movie.
Yeah.
Because Tony Scott is a good director.
Fuck.
39% for Man on Fire. I don't understand why the discrepancy here.
I feel like late post 2000s Tony Scott films got rough ratings.
Yeah.
For some reason, even though like I've heard great things. Like one of my buddies watched The Taking of Pelham 123 with Denzel and Travolta, and he's like, I fucking love that film. And I looked at the rating; it was like 50%. I'm like, what? I don't get it.
Like, I gotta say, Tony Scott does take a lot of chances with the cinematography.
He does, yeah.
Big time. Like, interesting cuts. Some of it I did not like. Some of it I thought was cool. But, and maybe that's what threw people off. But Man on Fire is a good action movie. Denzel is fantastic in that movie. And it's rewatchable as hell.
Yeah.
39% is ridiculous. And the audience agrees, I think. So.
89 is respectable when it comes to that, and 39 is surprising, shocking.
Yeah, like to me, 89 is even on the high end. I wouldn't give this film an 89% personally.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it maybe a high 70s rating.
Fair enough, yeah.
But 39%, I wouldn't give it anywhere close to that.
No, yeah. I totally get that. We got to do an episode on Tony Scott. Are you fucking? Like,
It's coming.
It's gonna happen.
It's cooking.
gonna happen. It's cooking. I'm gonna rewatch a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good time. One on my list that a lot of people are gonna give an eyebrow raise.
This is probably your craziest
my
pick on the
craziest pick.
list.
Here's the thing. I was going into this. I saw this on Netflix, and I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be so fucking bad. And then I watch. I'm like, wow, it's charming. You know what? I don't know. I don't care. I thought it was cool. It was silly. It was stupid. Howard the Duck. Listen, guys, all right, I understand. This is on like some of the worst movies lists. Like people say this is the worst movie of all time. I laughed. The
Right.
stop motion was great. The animatronics on the Howard the Duck was great. Is it weird? Yeah, kind of. It's really
Sure.
fucking weird. But at the same time, when you're watching a movie called Howard the Duck, are you expecting like some grounded,
No.
dark Marvel, like, oh yeah, the CGI duck smoking his like no. You're gonna see Howard the Duck fight off gang members using his quack foo. He says that.
That's incredible.
That's what you're expecting.
That's cinema, folks.
It's cinema, and 13% is insanely low.
13% is crazy.
Like, come on, guys. I could see like 30 from you guys at Rotten Tomatoes, but 13? Man, if I had to give this a rating, you know what? I understand it's got some silly moments. It's got some weird moments. I'd at least give it that 60.
Yeah, sure.
60% fresh. Like just off the rim. I don't think this is a masterpiece by any means.
And probably kind of ages like milk.
Oh, it does, yeah. But like Leah Thompson is a rock star in it too. Like you can't go wrong with that. They got a weird villain in it. I personally enjoyed Howard the Duck.
You know what I'm realizing?
What?
I have another. So my next one, I have too many. I have too many sequels. I got Bad Boys 2, Too Fast, Too Furious, and I have Saw 2.
Oh yeah, Saw
That's
2 is
my next
surprisingly
one.
low. I mean, all the Saw films aside from Saw X are all rotten ratings. Did you notice
Which
that?
is insane.
Yeah.
We did the full Saw franchise review. If you haven't seen that video, check it out on the channel. One of our favorite videos, one of my favorite videos we've ever done. You saw all the Saw films for the first time last year.
Yeah.
A lot of these are fresh,
I would say so.
right?
I would say 1, 2, 3, not 4, not
Yeah.
5, 6. I'd give 6 a fresh rating. 7, no.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Did they run out of ideas? Were some of them so stupid? Yes. But don't they all have this charm to them?
They do.
Maybe it's the reoccurring music. Maybe it's like the beats and that you get used to.
Yeah.
It's just such a comforting franchise to me, which is kind of crazy given like what
You're not
all
the only
gore
one.
is.
Yeah.
But I just love watching Saw. Once a year I put one of these on, if not a few of them, because I just love watching them. And I think 37% Rotten Tomato score is ridiculous. The audience score is 59.
Ugh.
For my favorite Saw film, I give it a high 70s rating. I
Yeah.
really like this one. I think that it has one of the most memorable twists with the safe.
Yeah.
I think Donnie Wahlberg is actually good in it.
He is.
I think that John Kramer, Tobin Bell, is so good in it
Oh yeah, he's really good.
because
at
he's
Saw
captured from the beginning. and
Yeah.
the way he delivers those lines and those scenes with him and Donnie, I love it. I think it has one of the most memorable traps in the franchise. If you ask the average Saw viewer about traps, they're going to say, oh, the needle pit.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Right? They're going to
Yeah.
say the needle pit. It's one of the most memorable, and there's zero blood. There's no limbs being cut off.
Yeah.
But it is one of the most memorable traps. For those reasons, this is fresh.
I would say so. I mean, your favorite obviously was Saw 2. I remember
Yeah.
you telling me that. And I would say Saw 1 through 3, give them fresh ratings. High 70, I totally
definitely.
agree with if you give Saw 1 like the 80s.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I
which,
mean.
which Saw 1 absolutely deserves.
Yeah, it's the ending of that is also amazing. It's just I am surprised. It's like the Friday the 13th films. I remember watching all those and I saw the ratings. They're all like 11,
Yeah.
12. And I'm like, okay, they're not good, but like they're not the worst. So I don't know. I guess maybe it's a horror bias from critics.
There is a horror bias
Right.
from critics, for sure.
And I get it, but also highly recommend Saw 2.
Yeah.
My fifth one.
Love this one.
Dude.
Such a banger pick.
Dude, this is the most quotable motherfucking movie I could ever pick. Nacho Libre. I love it. 40%?
Come on.
Get that gun on my face. Ooh.
Yo, this is Jack Black's prime.
It's so good.
He's so good in that movie. I remember watching it on YTV. It used to
Oh,
play
yeah.
it all the time. And it is an absolute classic. 40% is a crime.
It is a crime.
Look, I haven't seen it in years, frankly, since the YTV days, but I remember watching it a few times then, so it's kind of fresh in my head.
Yeah.
Maybe I got to go back. Maybe it didn't age well. When is the last time you seen it?
Oh, I saw it like a few months ago with my dad.
There you go.
And-
And it still hits.
Nathan, 5 minutes into the movie, I was crying.
See?
I was crying laughing.
I got to go back.
This should like movies like Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, The Other Guys, or is it The Nice Guys? One of those
Yeah.
movies. Those ratings are fresh. Give Nacho Libre a fresh because I feel like this comedy works just as well as those movies.
Completely.
And it's fucking bullshit that I see ratings like 79% on Talladega Nights, and I'm like, why the fuck doesn't
Yeah.
Nacho Libre?
Like, I like Talladega Nights. I
It's
think
so good.
It's very funny. But Nacho Libre, Jack Black and Nacho is just as memorable. The jokes are so well written. It's a good comedy.
It's so good. It's the fact that Jack Black, that accent. It's so all over the place, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah,
he knew
of
that.
course.
He knew that. The whole cast understands what type of movie they're in. This is the same guy who directed Napoleon Dynamite, which also
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite got great reviews. So it's such a weird contrast when he directs this film, and it's the exact opposite.
What happened here?
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, though. The fans have spoken. I have seen the memes. I have seen the TikTok, Instagram memes.
Yeah.
And Nacho Libre is fresher than ever and will live on amongst all the generations of the orphans.
I completely agree.
It's so good. 55 audience? What the fuck? It's rigged.
It definitely has a cult following, though.
It does.
That is keeping this movie alive. And they're doing the Lord's work because this is a movie that could easily get forgotten in time, but does not deserve to.
The Lord's work.
Truly.
Did you say they were the Lord's chips? I was trying to. Anyways, I'm going to be quoting this entire film all day, so
It's easy
that's
to.
all I'm going to say is, if you haven't seen Nacho Libre, what are you doing with your life? Sit down and watch the fucking movie.
Yeah. And my last one, my number 5, is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Whoa.
How the hell is this a 35% movie? Lost in New York is such a good sequel.
30? Are you fucking... No way.
Wouldn't you also think that this would score well? Like,
Okay, what's the first Home Alone rated? I want to know this now.
Search that up.
I'm fucking... What? 35? Okay, 66%. Okay, that's pretty fucking low for
even then,
Home Alone.
like, what are these critics thinking?
Like, I'm not saying this is It's a Wonderful Life.
No.
But
not that-
66, it's barely breaking the fresh rating. And then you look at Home Alone 2 with 35. Here, I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to see what the rating of Home Alone 3 is. That's a shit film.
Right. A shit film.
35%?
The same?
The same
As
rating.
Lost in New York, which was so memorable.
It was way more memorable. Are you fucking serious?
That is so nuts.
Here's the thing, though. Home Alone 2, I get it. It has a lot of the sequel issues where they just do the same stuff here and here. But here's the thing, though. You have Tim Curry as like the hotel manager.
Right.
You have Marvin Harry. They're still great. They're still great actors. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern and Macaulay
Are
Culkin's
still there.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
still fucking great. I don't understand 35 though. It's not a bad sequel. It's a solid sequel.
Yeah, it's not as good as the original, not as
No.
memorable, but it is a solid sequel. I completely agree. And I thought everybody liked this one.
I thought so too.
To me, this was always like a universally liked film. You talk about Home Alone, you talk about 1 and 2.
Yeah, the duology.
Right?
You call it the duology because Macaulay Culkin was in both of them, and
Facts.
then after Home Alone 2, they shit the bed with. They made 50 of these, and I can't believe they have Home Alone 3 at 35.
That might be Rotten Tomatoes' worst take on their whole site.
Probably.
Like, that's tough.
Because I see Home Alone 1 and 2 every Christmas.
Yeah.
When you see the first one, you're thinking, well, I got to see the second one now. And then you pop on the second one, and you have a
you're
great
just
time.
as satisfied. You have
Yeah.
it's equally a good time. I agree.
Wow, that's a great pick. That was the most shocking one on your list. Out of all 5 of those,
Yeah.
35, is that the lowest one on the... No, Bad Boys 2 is, but that's like...
Bad Boys 2 is, yeah. But that's nuts. I know.
Wow.
That is so nuts.
Wow. I love our lists. I feel like... I think we can both agree that our lists will give other people a second chance at these movies. Being like, oh, we were a little bit worried that it was bad, but coming from us, we're telling you they're not.
Yeah. Or maybe I just like Fast and Furious too much.
And maybe
Saw.
I just like Zack Snyder a lot. I don't know.
Look, listen to us, don't, but hopefully,
Yeah.
listen to us or don't, but hopefully you could take at least one movie from this episode, from our recommendations, and give it another spin.
Yeah. But speaking of critic score, I understand that there's a lot of movies that we just talked about that are super low. What about audience score?
Audience score.
Audience score, I've noticed a lot of movies and shows are really low, whereas the critics are super high. It's
Yeah.
like the other way around.
I'll do a little bit of rapid fire running through this.
Yes.
I'll do a little bit of rapid fire
fire.
running through this. Uncut Gems had a certified fresh score, 91%,
Great.
which I agree with, and a 52% audience score. People didn't fuck with that one. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Certified fresh score for Jordan Peele's Us, 93%. I think that's a bit too high. Audience
Little
score
high, yeah.
was 61%.
A little too low.
Last Jedi,
Oh, this fucking one. Holy
91% certified fresh, 41% audience score. That's a big discrepancy.
There's something in the middle for that one.
Here's an interesting one. Venom, 30% from Rotten Tomatoes, 80% audience score. I think that one's the most interesting too.
I think so too.
First Venom was solid.
Yeah, holy shit. But those are some good ones.
All right, Christian's gonna kill us if we don't finish.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We gotta wrap. We've been yapping a lot. Thank you for watching this episode of the Real Talk Podcast. Hopefully you take one of our recommendations and give it a spin. Let us know in the comments which one you watch, what your thoughts are, and if you have any to add to this list. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe to your boys. It helps us out a ton. And most importantly, take care. Brush your hair. Peace.